The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. How you doing? Since 1986, James Ross's classic tale of a Texas-sized adventure has charmed the hearts of generations of children in the Lone Star State and beyond, and become an annual family tradition. In the midst of a fierce winter storm, Sandy arrives with a wagon pulled with 8 rangy longhorns with names like Leadfoot, Walleye, and Culane. From well-worn boots placed over the chimney and filled the toys with Stetson to the Stetson perched atop old Santa Claus's grizzled head. The story abounds with endearing humor. Ross's talent for injecting personality in his art energizes every drawing. The prairie dogs, armadillos, mice, and long jackrabbit, who inhabit the scenes along with Ma and Pa, witness the calamities caused by this weathered old cowpoke and his marauding steers. It all works out in the end, and as Sandy heads into the night of the mesa, he calls out, "Merry Christmas, y'all. Y'all have a good night." And it goes a little bit like this. 'Twas the night before Christmas, in the cold winter fog. Nary a creature was moving, not a lone prairie dog. Then from out of the north, the breeze gave a stir, and icy cold blasts rolled the fog in a blur. A blue Texas norther roared over the plains. The cold fairly whistled through those loose window panes. I poked at the fireplace to stir up a flame. The embers glowed redder, but the cold stayed the same. Ma fixed up our dinner to be ready next day, and thought about Christmas, a few hours away. Our scuffed boots were assembled on the floor pair by pair, where Sandy could find them, for he soon would be there. The young uns were bundled down snug in their covers, a sprat of a girl and her 2 older brothers. So me and my long johns and Ma in her cap warmed up by the fire before we laid ourselves down. From out on the range there came such a ruckus, I ran to the window to see what the fuss was. Through the blue winter blizzard a scene came to sight. I squinted to see, for there wasn't much light. Then stomping and snorting and pawing the ground were 8 scroungy longhorns stampeding around. In front of a wagon piled as could be, with boxes and bundles as high as a tree. Then a beller and yell soon set 'em all straight. A fat little old ramrod who put fear in the 8. Well, there weren't really scart, no harm would he cause, for their longhorn head honcho was old Santa Claus. He got their attention, and he called 'em by name. "Hey, Leadfoot! Hey, Walleye! Hey, get up there, Culane! Come on, Gimp and Flop Ear and Scarface, start dragging! Come on, Sam and High Hips, let's move this here wagon!" Old Leadfoot he bellered and lifted his head. Then straight on they trampled through Ma's flower bed. They laid the gate flat, and the clothesline went too. Nothing stood in their way as they flat-footed through. Sandy pulled up them short on top of the roof and wrecking the porch with them clodhopper hoofs. They rocked our sod shanty and dirt sifted down. Then through the chimney Sandy came with a bound. He was dressed all in rawhide with a Stetson on top. His big Texas boots hit the floor with a clop. He shook his great belly and stomped with each foot, which knocked off a shower of mud, ash, and soot. His eyes were both squinty, and his skin was like leather, from too much exposure to that raw Texas weather. He looked tough as a horseshoe, but I felt no alarm, 'cause the wind of his eye showed us he didn't no harm. A feed bag of toys he had flung on his back, and with nary word he opened a sack. He piled up them boots as piled them up high, then looked out the winder up to the sky. The cold Texas norther still whistled and blew, but more young'uns was waiting. His work wasn't through. It was hard to just leave and walk through the door and face all them longhorns and the cold as before. He drank some hot mud and hunched down close to the heat, soak up the warmth and thaw his cold feet. He could no longer dally or put off the chore, so he gave us a wink and pushed through the door. He prodded the longhorns to get on the go, and the wagon took off through the fog and the snow. He called over the norther before he went out of sight. "Merry Christmas, you hear, and y'all have a good night." Have a good night, y'all. Merry Christmas.